Hello, everyone. Welcome to my mini lecture series in sociology. Let me talk with you a bit about reactive effects in social research. A reactive effect occurs when the presence of the researcher influences the people being studied. In other words, people consciously or unconsciously depart from their usual way of doing things, perhaps because they wish to present themselves in a way they think will please the researcher, or maybe to conceal something for fear of embarrassment. Reactive effects can get in the way of researchers who want to know how people behave in their natural environments. Reactive effects can occur in three ways. First, in an experiment, the conditions of the laboratory setting may distort the behavior of subjects. Some researchers refer to this condition as procedural reactivity. That is, when a particular assessment procedure impacts the reactions of the subjects. For instance, people with visual impairments who are being assessed for their reading comprehension in a laboratory setting may not do very well if the text font size or the style appears different than what they ordinarily see in outside of the laboratory. A second type of reactive effect may occur in surveys that involve personal interviews. The respondents' answers to questions may be influenced by the personal characteristics of the interviewer or by what the respondent thinks the interviewer wants to hear. A third type of reactive effect may occur in ethnographies, sometimes referred to as participant observation studies designed to study the culture of a group over a long period of time. In many ethnographic studies, the researcher discloses his or her role as a researcher and becomes a member of the group being studied. The hope is that group members eventually become accustomed to the observer's presence and begin to behave more naturally. However, participant observation can create reactive effects if the group members engage in interactions and conversations that otherwise would not have occurred had the observer not been part of the group. These last two examples of reactive effects, the ones that can result from interviews and ethnographies, concern personal rather than procedural reactivity. With personal reactivity, we are talking about the impact of the attitudes, expectations, and behaviors of the researcher on the reactions of the people being observed. So, what do you think about the impact of reactive effects? Does the presence of a researcher have a noticeable impact on social processes, or do participants tend to ignore a researcher's presence after a while and carry on like business as usual? The common sense has been that individuals and groups will alter their behavior if they know about being observed or otherwise studied. However, not many empirical studies find strong support for that hypothesis. Uh, to name just one example, I just recently read a published article from 2019 on the effects of body worn cameras on police behavior. The article appears in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in the United States of America. The researchers David Yoakum, Anita Ravishankar, and Alexander Kopik found that police-worn body cameras did not meaningfully affect police behavior on a range of outcomes, including complaints from citizens and use of force. To the degree that a body camera reflects observation of the police, the findings from this study make sense from a sociological perspective. The barriers between researchers and informants become less important than the social practices in which individuals and groups are engaged. To put it plainly, it's difficult, if not impossible, for a group to hide its culture from an observer for a sustained period of time, because culture, norms, values, statuses, roles, exercises a very powerful control over individuals. On a final note, it might be said that the observation of individuals and groups that results in some type of behavior modification, whether it be stage performances or concealed information, tells us a great deal about people. It tells us about what people desire, how they would like to be seen, what they hold up as ideals, what they think might be important for outsiders to know, how they perceive researchers, and much more. In other words, reactive effects may be seen as a gift of knowledge, and not just viewed as a weakness or limitation of doing ethnographic research.